So one of my all-time favorite video game franchises is Mega Man. All the way back to the original NES as a kid, I played all the way through those games on a regular basis. They were regular rentals for me, and I always dreamed as a kid of having proper action figures based on the adventures that Mega Man was having in those very NES games. And while we've received a ton of Mega Man action figures over the years, I don't think I've ever been given the proper Mega Man line that I really think we deserve. And do we deserve a proper Mega Man line? You're damn right we do. Alright, so here's the deal, guys. Mega Man toys have been around for several years now. I mean, we've had action figures of Mega Man himself aplenty. The very first line that I remember specifically here in the US was the line from Bandai that was based on the Mega Man cartoon series. So the cartoon series was what it was. I know it gets panned a lot. It's very different looking. They made all of the characters tall and muscular and basically more Americanized, kind of getting away from the anime influence of the original Mega Man games. But I was excited to see that cartoon at the time just because I wanted to see anything for Mega Man outside of those video games that I loved. So when we got this toy line right here, I was really excited about it. And to be perfectly honest, it's still a toy line that I really enjoy today, even if it was hard to find even back when I was a kid. I could never find these things in stores, and I would beg my parents to take me out so that we could try to get them, and I only got a handful of them, even as a kid. And they're still very hard to collect today. But at least we got Mega Man, and we got some of the villains, and they even played up on the ability of Mega Man to steal powers by allowing you to plug different weapons into his buster and fire it off. It was really fun for what it was. It made a cool line of Mega Man toys that were for kids, and that's cool. So we're in an era now where we're getting collector toys all the time that are based on all of these properties that we grew up with. And we've gotten some of the very best collector toys we've ever received for many of these franchises. And I'm going to say this again, we've gotten a lot of stuff for Mega Man, but I do not feel that we've still gotten a proper Mega Man line. This is the problem that I always see with Mega Man. Every single time a new company comes out with a new Mega Man toy line, it's exciting. But this is what always happens. They give us Mega Man, and then they stop. Or they give us Mega Man and Proto Man, or maybe Mega Man X and Zero, Vile if we're lucky, and then they stop. And then a new company comes along, they do their own version of Mega Man, and then they stop. Repeat, repeat, repeat. It seems like that's the way things have been going for several years now. And do we see the problem with this? Where are the Robot Masters? The thing that made the Mega Man games so cool were all of the amazing designs for the enemies. And every single new installment on the original Nintendo and all of the installments of Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo basically gave us 8 brand new Robot Masters in every game that are dying to have action figures made of them. So why can't we have those now? Look, I know we've had some toy lines that have sort of dabbled in this. Jazzwares did some Mega Man toys, and they gave us some of those Robot Masters. But man, I'm thinking about some of the modern, really collectible, cool Mega Man figures, and just thinking of the potential of those lines and how they've totally failed us. When D-Arts gave us Mega Man and Rush and Mega Man X and Zero and even Vile, it was exciting. But they stopped. I never got into any of the cool Robot Masters. And it seems like ever since then, we keep getting these new, super articulated, highly detailed versions of Mega Man, but we never get further than that. I think the closest and the most exciting for me were the most recent figures from Sentinel. They gave us some of the coolest Mega Man figures based on those original games that have ever been released, but they kind of fell into that same thing. We just got Mega Man on repeat. All these different variations of Mega Man, and then they teased us because they gave us Cutman, and he's amazing. And Cutman's one of my favorite old school Robot Masters. But you can see that that's mostly because he's just an easy reuse of parts from Mega Man with a brand new head. And then they stopped. Just like every Mega Man line before it. I don't know what's keeping companies from really diving into this property. It's very possible it could be Capcom and their licensing. Maybe they're only allowing Mega Man and some of those main characters to be made. Maybe they're not selling as well as I think that they probably should. I don't know. But this is what this show's all about. I'm proposing a toy line that I want to see. And I want a Mega Man line like this one from Sentinel, but I want it with a full wide array of Robot Masters. So you have probably played a Mega Man game before. I bet you can name at least 5 Robot Masters off the top of your head that will make amazing toys, because there are so many of them. Metal Man, Bubble Man, Air Man, Centaur Man, Gemini Man, Pharaoh Man, Skull Man, Gravity Man, Snake Man, Crystal Man, Heat Man, Fire Man, Ice Man. Seriously, this can go on and on and on. There are so many cool Robot Masters. And not to mention all of the cool enemies that are just scattered throughout all of the levels that could all make really cool toys. I don't know, man. It's like, this is sort of like a dream toy line for me. This is something that I have wanted to see ever since I was a kid, because I was always that kid who, while I loved playing my video games, I always wished that I had actual toys, some tangible action figures of these characters from these video games that I could hold in my hand and continue the adventures outside of the video games. And Mega Man was the ones that I wanted the most as a kid. And I feel like here I am as an almost 40-year-old adult, and I have never had that satisfied. I have never been given the Mega Man toy line that I have dreamed of since I was a little kid. So that is what I want to see. I want a proper line of Mega Man action figures. The Blue Bomber is great, but let's get some of these other characters, especially the Robot Masters. I want a whole army of Dr. Wily's Robot Masters or Sigma's evil Mavericks, whatever. Let's fill out a villains roster in Mega Man action figure form. Somebody please make this happen. I'm not the only one that wants this, I guarantee it. I know that other people want this exact same sort of thing, because we deserve a proper Mega Man toy line. Am I right? Am I right? You're damn right I'm right.